Hi, my name is Liz, and I'm going to talk to you today about tatting. This is going to be about needle tatting. Most people in the US do shuttle tatting, but I learned how to do it with a needle and I like it better. Most of what I learned came out of this book, which I got off Amazon. I couldn't get my webcam working, so I'm going to do my best to show you with my phone, which is going to be a little bit complicated because I need to use both hands, but we'll see how it goes. This is a tatting needle. As you can tell, it looks a little different than a tatting shuttle. It is a little bit sharp. It's not incredibly sharp. You're probably not gonna draw blood with it unless you hit yourself pretty hard, but I wouldn't poke it in my eye either. So you're supposed to technically thread the needle so that you can pull the thread all the way through, but I can't find my needle threader right now and my eyes aren't great, so we're just going to pretend that I threaded it. So the way you hold this is, we'll assume the needle is threaded. You take up a little bit of slack and hold it with your forefinger. Then you loop the thread like this around your other finger. And you wrap it. That is the first half of a double stitch. And to make the second half, you go the other way. Then you have a two-part stitch. It's a little bit blurry. Then you just continue like that, trying to keep the stitches pretty close together. To make a picot, which are the things that make lacy shapes, you do the same thing, but you leave a space in between the stitches. So we'll leave a little bit of space this time. And then when you push them together, you get this little loop. You can make a pattern with that. That's 2 stitches in a picot, and then we'll do another one. And try and keep them about the same size. I didn't exactly. There's little guides you can buy to make your picots exactly the same size. I'm not especially good at getting them exactly the same size yet, but that's something that comes with practice. And many of the patterns call for making small ones and then large ones and then small ones in specific patterns. This way and then that way. So this would be a really common pattern for a ring. You'd have 3 picots and probably a couple of extra stitches around the edges. So once you were ready to form the ring, again, I didn't thread this, but if I had and I wanted to form a ring, I would pull the thread all the way through, and as you can imagine, that would cause this to, if you pulled it tight, pull these into a little circle, which is called a loop. If you were to pull it through and not pull them very tightly, it would form just kind of a line or a little bit of an arc, which is called a chain. If you do either one of these, it's not recommended in the book, but I've discovered that tying them at the end causes them to not come undone and seems to cause your work to stay together a little bit better. So going back to the book, the types of things you can make with tatting is this really specific looking pattern. It's a little bit old-fashioned, but that's what tatting patterns look like. I like it. So many of the guides that are out there are in Italian. And once you learn how to do the tatting stitches and the picots and the loops and the chains, you can read the patterns pretty easily. They're mostly P's and dashes, and it becomes really obvious what you're doing after you've done it a few times, and it won't matter if the instructions are in Italian. So there's some really gorgeous stuff that you can make with it. So I hope you have fun. Enjoy.